Hey everybody, welcome to the Women Unfiltered series, Spicy Saturday. I'm your host, Tabitha.
I'm your co-host, Lauren. We are on the roller coaster of womanhood, all unfiltered.
From our overrated ovaries to, yes, dating peaks and disasters.
No topic is off limits. Join us on the first Saturday of every month for our candid combos.
Unfiltered advice and plenty of laughs as we navigate the good, the bad, and the downright chaotic moments that make up our lives as women.
Get ready to embrace your inner spice and enjoy the ride.
Don't need no light to see you.
Hey guys, welcome in A Little Bit of Life podcast. We're into our Spicy Saturday episode. This is technically being recorded in December, so this is our last spicy episode of 2024. Kind of makes me sad, but we're airing this as your first episode of 2025. How has your year gone? How's 2024? If you had to choose two words to wrap up 2024.
Ooh, 2 words? God. Challenging, but also growth. Like, I feel like I was challenged in a way that pushed me to grow. What about you?
Interesting, because one of mine is growth. I feel like I did like that 2024 matchup on like social media video, and I was scrolling back through. If you guys haven't done it yet, it's never too late, especially just a couple days into 2025. And it's interesting to see what you've gone through and what you chose to take pictures of in 2024 with growth. I think my other word would be chaotic, but like calmly chaotic. Like, I think I had a lot of expectations this year of myself, of like my health, of relationships, of friendships, of myself. So I think that's really something to focus on, which is why we're doing this episode for our Spicy Saturday. I feel like we're going to get really spicy in 2025. I feel like this episode for women is so like calm. You can be spicy, but kind of have some calm to the chaoticness. So I have to ask, because over half of Americans make New Year's resolutions. Do you do that or no?
No. And I think we spoke about this before, but I'm not big on resolutions, only because I feel like people will make all these crazy goals and then they won't end up doing them, or they'll get half of them and then feel bad if they don't finish them. So for me, I usually kind of choose like a certain word or two or a few to kind of like focus on, and like peace and growth are continuing into next year for me. And I kind of go from there. But yeah, no big like resolution. I don't know. I feel like they're not realistic because life will throw us curveballs. But I do feel like if you're looking for a specific feeling for a year, like that is a little bit easier to achieve, in my opinion. So I'm continuing looking for peace, growth, and like, I don't know, abundance, whether it's like financial or love or community. Like, those are going to be my 3. So, yeah.
It
What
said,
about
I usually don't. And I think it's because I'm like every other American, because 25% are not committed after 30 days. That's a pretty big number cut down, and less than 10% of those actually accomplish what they chose to do for a resolution. I think it's something that it was a great idea, but when this year has been so about growth for me, and I think so many other women that I am surrounded in my amazing community by, New Year's resolutions almost set us up for mental failure, because I think we set the bar so high as women of like, we're going to do this. Like, health and fitness is always like the number one, right? So many women say, I'm going to lose weight, or maybe I'm going to tone, or I'm going to do this or maybe that. But I think it's a huge thing. Like, when I was looking at the list of things that people most likely do resolutions on, it's interesting because the things that we're able to achieve in like a simple manner are probably the last on our list. Like, health and fitness was the first one. Physical health, which goes into like, are you making those doctor's appointments? Are you really taking care of yourself? Are you deep diving into maybe what's been going on with you that you've been ignoring? Finances, learning a skill or a hobby, social interaction, breaking habits, career, like ambitions, going after something, maybe like that promotion, home changes, which I found interesting. Mental health was last on the list.
That's not good.
But you think about all of the list of things, like if 25% of Americans aren't even committed after 30 days, do you think that that even helps your mental health when you look at like, oh, I'm going to better myself? Because mentally you're like, I didn't make it in 30 days. Like I quit. I couldn't finish the task. So I think mine this year is really living in the moment and working on my physical health matching my mental health, because I think those are really connected for me personally.
They really are. And you brought up kind of the point I was hinting at as well, is like, if you don't hit it, it affects your mental health. And mental health really should be the number one thing. And I think that's why, like, I have that where you asked me how I felt about this year, where it was like challenging but growth. And a lot of that had to do with my mental health, like going hardcore into my therapy almost every week to every other week. Like I was going consistently this entire year, and I noticed it made a difference for the most part. Obviously, like I've had some ups and downs still, I'm a human. But then another thing to take into effect, why I'm also like trying to be realistic about it, and I know you can relate, is that you can say like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, but having autoimmune as well, having certain chronic illnesses and health conditions can get in the way. Like I told myself I was going to record a song last year in the year, and I've just, every time I'm like, I was like, I'm going to do this. But I was like, then got into podcasting. I was like, well, close enough. Sometimes it's like you can put it out there and maybe it takes you like close, but to a different thing. And that's what happened with podcasting. I was like, I'm going to record music. And then I end up but I was like, hey, I'll take it. It's getting there. But yeah, I don't know. I'm tired of beating myself up being like, oh, I'm not married. Oh, I haven't had a kid yet. Or, oh, I, didn't lose the 10 pounds. Cause you're right in so many aspects. It's like, if you don't prioritize that, and I've told some friends this, like you can try and eat as healthy as you want all the time you want, work out as much as you want, but you're never going to get to that goal weight or that goal look if your mental health is off. And that's something I learned as a health coach. Like, if your mental health is not off, it's not going to work. Like, but once you get kind of to a better place, yeah, you might see those pounds and everything go off. And I wish more doctors would educate people on that too.
Yeah.
Honestly, not just say, hey, drink water and work out. That doesn't always work. Yeah. Or at least in my experience, like I used to be able to lose weight without even eating healthy. And now I'm like, I'm eating healthy, but sometimes I've not lost the weight. And I'm like,
I think the main key of those that are listening, and you don't even have, I know there's probably men that listen to our episodes because they're like, oh, I really want to hear like what they're talking about. This is still this is still for everybody. I think the big thing is we're so focused how we've been for decades of, oh, what are we going to change in 2025? Right. And I think it's very important for those that are listening. It can be a word choice that you flip that makes your mental health more stable in going into a new year, resolutions, a new month, a new week, a new day. It doesn't have to be January 1st for you to like have something that's like, like a rising of the heavens moment like they have in the movies of like, this is when everything in my life is going to change. No. Change the word where it says, oh, I'm changing this in 2025 to I'm improving this in 2025. Give yourself some gratitude. Make sure you have self-care. And I was reading something, it was interesting. It said, have a reward system for yourself. And I was like, ooh, I never thought of that because like when we're trying, like for those that are listening, you have children, right? And you're teaching them like, okay, well, you didn't do this correctly. Let's improve on this. You don't say, change your behavior. Let's improve your behavior. Let's do this. Let's do that. When they reach a certain level, you reward them. So why do we not have a reward system for ourselves as adults when we have everything stacked on us plus more and then some? So I thought that was interesting to read. Have a reward system. It could be going and having a coffee at your favorite place, taking like a nature walk, setting a timer or an alarm on your phone for 15 minutes where you put it on Do Not Disturb and you read like a book or you go out with friends. It said do things that make you happy and have a reward system for yourself for the little things, which I thought was like, why didn't I think of that earlier?
That's interesting you say that because I really do feel more motivated and inspired when I treat myself. When I'm like, hey, you know what, Lauren? Like, let's go to the mountains for a few days. You've worked hard. You deserve it. Like, even doing a little like getaways, mini getaways, like just getting away to clear your mind and just, I don't know, travel. A lot of people, it's travel. I don't travel as much as I would like to, but that's funny you say that because, yeah, like on a day, I'm like, this is a me day. I'm going to get that coffee. I do want to read something though, because we're on this theme of, going into the new year, and I posted this on my stories and there's more to it, but the magic of the 9-year lies in release and surrender. So they're saying 2025 is a 9-year. We just had an 8-year. Letting go of the past and dissolving our masks, releasing our fears and rising to challenges, embracing self-expression and authenticity, surrendering to the rhythmic flow of our cyclical nature, creating space for our true potential to emerge. And I feel like since we both agreed that like one of our words for this past year was growth, I feel like I'm still going into growth in 2025, but I feel like I'm embracing more of myself. Like, do you feel like you're kind of like having a release of like, I don't know, I'm growing into who I'm meant to be? Like, that's what I feel right now. Like, there's something going on where I'm like, this is weird, but I feel it.
Yeah, it's kind of scary if I'm being 100% honest of like, I thought I knew who I was for a really long time. And I mean, I went through a lot of trauma, and a lot of things where like, I think I just kind of buried some things and grief and sadness. So this level of growth going into like next year, it's kind of scary because I feel like I needed to like Windex the mirror for a long time. And now I've like gone full send OCD, cleaned the mirror, and like I can fully see my reflection back this time. And it's kind of creepy because now I'm like, all the expectations I've had on others and like relationships, both friendships and romantic, like I'm starting to kind of resurface and have expectations now for myself because of the growth. Which, I mean, I think in 2025 is something to really focus on is you can outgrow people and things, friendships, family relationships, work, different things. Maybe you loved your job, but maybe it's just something is better or bigger that you could do. I think it's just embracing that it's healthy and it's okay to like outgrow things because we outgrow ourselves.
Exactly. And that is interesting too, because I feel like the whole let go theme, I feel like I've let go trying to be friends with people that I wasn't meant to be friends with. And I think for years I was always like, oh, I need to be friends with everybody and like get along. And now I'm kind of like, you know what? No, I need to nourish and like cherish the ones that I have that are good friendships. And I've lost a few friends this year. I lost 2, but I don't know if I'd even want to call it loss. Like I feel like it was for the best. And like you said, and sometimes I've learned now, and I'm embracing that sometimes people are only meant to be in your life for like a chapter, to maybe teach you something. And I kind of realized the people that were let go as friends, like I think they were meant to show me like, hey, you don't need to tolerate that kind of behavior anymore.
Yeah.
You don't need to be trying to appease someone and feel like you're walking on eggshells. Cause there was definitely people I felt like I was walking on eggshells that I've like let go. And I've noticed I've had less and less anger, like, because those certain friends brought out anger in me. And I was like, no, don't need to bring that back. But,
We've got the
and then
queen of
now,
sass making her grand entrance because she's being sassy down here. So that's what we're
sure,
working on for 2025 is
less
you
that.
don't need to be the star of the show there, Miss Spicy.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, and obviously you can tell, I mean, I'm very bright and colorful today. Looking like Glinda the Good Witch from Wicked. If anybody's seen that movie, it's awesome. I have like bats everywhere in my apartment. I'm just like, yeah, I'm kind of like, I am the weird, quirky girl that loves Halloween year round, and I don't care anymore.
And that's
I,
okay.
but then I also want people to know I'm not always like Miss Horror Queen. I do dress like sometimes, but I'm just like, yeah, this is me. Fuck it. Take it or leave it.
I mean, even doing the podcast, it's funny because obviously for those who follow my social media, I have 2 French bulldogs. This is my female, my little Sasquatch, as her nickname is Ryland, but her nickname is Ronda Rousey because she's very sassy. But it's funny because I remember like even doing my podcast recordings, like she's always at my feet, she's always helping me. And I always had this fear of like perfection, right? Of like, she can't make any noise and they can't play with squeaky toys and like everything has to be perfect. And I'm realizing that that's what people like in life is for you to be yourself and for you to be just real, raw, uncut, right in your face. Who you are is who you are and your life is your life. So I think that's also been part of my growth. See, she's like, I just wanted to spend time. I think it's also like realizing that your mental health is also about, like you said, just doing whatever you want. Like I have recently, I feel like there's this weird space between like Christmas and New Year's. Like you never know what day it is. You're like surviving on candy and like leftover, food and stuff like that. You're like, am I going to bed at like 8 p.m.? Yes. Am I waking up at like 11? We can do whatever we want, right? We can do whatever we want.
Exactly.
But I think too, it's like with mental health, you can do whatever you want, but it doesn't have to be like extravagant, right? Like they were talking about different things you can do for your mental health in 2025. The list was very interesting because it's things that like I think we just should be doing anyway, but we don't realize, like we kind of just get lost in life. Practice kindness. Do 1 act of daily kindness a day, minimum. The second one, which I found really interesting, and I think you're really going to like, I'm interested to see your reaction on this one because of personal things you and I have kind of talked about that we're going through. Value. Yeah, this is
Maybe
wild.
we'll get there in a moment, people.
It said to value honesty.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
When we think of that for mental health, if you're not going through something right now, personally, professionally, whatever it is, you're probably gonna be like, I don't really know what that means. But if you are going through something, you're probably gonna have the same reaction as Lauren did just now of like, ooh. Because I think that we are so tunnel visioned in life, right? Because we go based on our feelings and our emotions and things that we have expectations on. Our expectations going into any year is up here. Your expectations are in your mind. So for 2025, to help your mental health, the second one on the list was value honesty. That has to deal with outside in. Value people's honest opinions when you ask what you're asking.
No.
Whew, that one I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I can do that one in 2025. Maybe. We'll see.
I feel that one. Because I do value honesty, but I will say, honesty or not, it can still hurt, as you know, with my recent experience. Maybe we'll get to that later, people. But it's like, yeah, you have to respect it though. Like whether or not it's something you want to hear, you do need to respect it because everybody has the right to their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, honesty is better than being lied to. So
Yep.
I'll definitely say yeah.
Yep. Develop empathy is something else. And I'll list all these in the bio description. It's interesting because these are all the things you want to try to do for your mental health in 2025. Develop empathy. Some people say like, oh, I'm empathetic. But it was interesting because there's a quiz online and it asks you questions to see how much of an empathetic person you are. And they throw scenarios out there and it's interesting to see that it says you are always to be developing empathy. Everything's changing in your life and others' lives. So it asked how that is helping or maintaining your mental health. Embrace generosity. I'll have to send it to you. It's
yeah, please send it to me, or if you put it in the thing, I'm recording. Sorry, I had to say that.
It's good.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Embrace generosity. We usually get really happy when like we help somebody out, but it's interesting because we go from December of like us giving and receiving gifts and helping. A lot of us do like soup kitchens, or we help the homeless, or we do something like Toys for Tots. It gives you a really good feeling, right? It's an endorphin. It boosts your mental health. We go from December of this overload, this massive overload of emotional and, mental, this is amazing, I did this, and we're on this adrenaline high, right? To January of like, we're going to do this. From January 1st to January 30th, only 25% of you are actually going to still be in that motion. There's a huge portion of you that are going to just feel like you failed. I've had the incredible opportunity to connect and work alongside this amazing rescue in my home state of Arizona, Freedom Frenchie Rescue. Their mission? To give French bulldogs a second chance at life and a first chance at love. Have a loving home that is missing a squish face? Are you interested in making a difference in fostering to show a beloved pup love for the very first time? Guess what? You can. After losing my own Frenchie Rupert at just 2 years old due to health issues from bad breeding, I've become passionate about spreading awareness and standing firmly behind the message, adopt, don't shop. From shelter saves to puppy mills, Freedom Frenchie Rescue is working tirelessly to rescue, rehabilitate, and rehome these beloved dogs. Head over to their website, www.freedomfrenchierescue.org, to see the available dogs that are searching for their forever home, or select volunteer to apply to be a foster. Some of these dogs have never known human touch or what love feels like. Or donate today with help from medications, vet visits, medical needs, and yes, even their favorite treats and toys. A little help goes a long way. Come on, little family, let's save some lives in 2025. So it says, embrace generosity. Listen actively. I need to work on that.
That one's a big one.
And the massive one for me is avoid preconceptions.
That's a good one too.
So I know people listen, and us as women, I've seen it all over social media. I'm currently doing it. I've been doing it since I started taking down Christmas stuff. We're talking about the declutter. We're talking about the purge of 2025. We're all doing it. It helps improve your mood by 80%. Stats have shown just by decluttering your home and your life, you get a 65% increase in self-esteem. That's huge. 63% in stress relief, and you are 80% improved by your mood. This can be wardrobe, your pantry, medicine cabinet, makeup and toiletries. The big one is subscriptions, which I think a lot of us now are like really in tune with, like finances of like what's coming out, you know, of our bank account, what we're not using. Your email inbox. When I heard that, I was like, oh my God, I need some anti-anxiety medication because I just, no. But it's also unsubscribing to things like in your email inbox that you may not want to be using, because you'll get stuff like I noticed it at Christmas. I'm like, I probably ordered a lotion from you in like 2005. Why is this company sending me? Like, I don't care. Your desk, if you have a home office, very, very important. If you do not work from home, they said that your workspace for mental health are your nightstands because they're next to your bed. And interesting enough, they said, make sure you don't have any form of electronic device next to your bed. It cannot be within arm's reach. Don't put your phone next to your bed. Put it in another room. Do not have computers or laptops. Alarm clocks, Watches, we all have our smartwatch, But they said try this for at least 2 weeks. For me, I live by that stuff. That's like my arm.
I struggle with not having my phone next to me, but that's because my phone is also my alarm. And it's just tough. And then I know some people will be like, you can buy an alarm. Yes, I could. But I'm like, I literally put my phone in another room, and then I'm like, then a crisis happens. So I don't know if my anxiety gets the best of me, but I'm like, it's the one time I don't have my phone next to me. It's like an emergency call comes through or something. But I have my phone on silent though. I don't like have, loud, but yeah, I struggle with that one. That would be a bit of work, but I'm all for decluttering. I did that actually like 2 months ago, and it felt amazing. Took all day, but it felt amazing. And I'm still like, I'm looking at my place right now. I live in a 1-bedroom, people, so it's not too hard to be like, but I'm like, what could I do to like enhance my space even more? That also, like, not just decluttering, but like, what can I move around? Even just like moving stuff around and like putting something new is amazing.
Yep.
I've bought like new knives and shit. Like,
that's
I
how
don't
you know
know,
you're
the
getting
little
older.
thing.
It's how I was this Christmas. I'm like, I got a new knife set. I got a vacuum cleaner. I got new pots and pans. I got a body pillow. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is it. I'm getting old. I'll take it.
Yeah, anybody who's listening under 20 years old, you're probably like, "What?" But I promise you, the older you get, you will appreciate those things like no other. They will put a smile on your face. But
And I think the big thing, which you and I are on that journey, obviously with autoimmune and just trying to figure out the what, the why, the how, the all the things in between with our health. Physical health is very important. Physical health and mental health really connect. As we say, everything, which as we know, everything starts in the gut and then goes to the brain. So we have to rewire our brains to also connect back to our gut, which, I mean, I'm telling every single person on here from both of us, be an advocate for yourself, especially with your physical health. If you have something that maybe you're like, hey, I haven't gotten that checked out, this is really bothering me, I have answers, I didn't like my doctor I went to last year, or I don't want to be on all these prescriptions, I want to try something different or holistic, or now's the time. Because we don't, like I said, we don't need a day of the month to try and restart, but I think it is a good way to kind of kick it off. Physical health and mental health tie together. But that's also very scary because, like you and I, how many times do we have to go to a doctor and get, well, this is normal, or this looks normal, or this could be. And there's only so many months that you can go into that where you're just like, why am I doing this? It's a waste of my time.
yeah, that was one thing I was feeling like defeated up until meeting with my internal medicine doctor the other day. Is, just an update, people. We've had a lot going on, and you're welcome to. I went to my internal medicine doctor and I was about to tell her, like, I'm going to change insurances. Like, I'm not getting help with specialists and this is not great. I straight up told her about the rheumatologist. So you guys don't know, but I recently went to a rheumatologist because I've been having like blurred vision issues, body pains, etc. I already have celiac, as most of y'all know. If you don't know that, I have celiac and endometriosis, but I was having other symptoms that were concerning and was wanting to rule everything out. And luckily, my internal medicine doctor was like, yeah, I will do all the tests. I'll keep pushing things. I'll take you to specialists. I go to the specialist before she even analyzes or touches my body. She was like, I can't do anything for you. And it was like heart wrenching. Like I cried when I left that visit. And then I got the opportunity to tell the doctor the other day, as she had a follow up for an MRI, that I was like, that lady was pretty bad, and she just straight up was honest with me about like certain doctors with Kaiser. I'm with Kaiser people. And I just loved her honesty. I said, look, I was like, that's what I need. I said, I want you to be honest, but I also want you to be empathetic. Cause I was like, I will compliment a doctor if I think they're intelligent. I had an intelligent doctor who took out my chocolate cyst, like almost 2 years ago. But the bedside manner was so bad. Because when I told my Dr. Sagarol about her, I was like, she's like, oh, why don't you go back to her in Woodland Hills? I was like, her bedside manner was horrible. I was like, I respected her as an intelligent human being, but horrible. But I do feel like going into this year, though, like, I can't give up, even though I've wanted to. Because people, it is exhausting. I will tell you, if you advocating for yourself will truly be frustrating, exhausting, you're going to have bad days, but eventually it's going to pay off. Like, that's all I have to say on that, to end on that, is like, as frustrating as it is, your body, these doctors know health and medicine, but they don't know you and your body personally. So you kind of have to really be honest with them too. That's the thing, is I think I struggled for years of being honest enough of like how much pain I was in too. I didn't get diagnosed with a lot of this stuff until like 20 years later, but I had these symptoms and I had worse pain when I was in my 20s that it took forever now to get relief. But don't lie to your doctors, have notes, like be honest. Don't downplay your symptoms. That is the biggest advice I can say, is like, yeah, go in, be ready.
I bring this up because not only are we both struggling, and trust me, our audios back and forth are like, having a great day. And then it's like, oh my God, I hate the health system. And it's like, oh, how's your dog? Like, we kind of have everything everywhere as my alarm goes off to feed my sick dog. Like, see, this is life. This is life. But I bring that up because the new year comes with, like you mentioned, new insurance. With new insurance becomes kind of this quest of like, oh, I maybe found a doctor that I loved, but I can't see her anymore because she doesn't accept my insurance. Or I have to go see this new doctor that's supposed to be like this new and improved, amazing. So with the new year and new insurances comes highs and lows within taking care of your health. I had a very similar situation with the rheumatologist. I remember my mom drove me like almost an hour and 45 minutes one way, and she was the only person I could find that like took my insurance. It was like a 2.5 month wait. If you have reoccurring medical conditions, you know that wait time messes with your mental health, and you wait and you wait and you get so excited. It's like waiting on Christmas Day to arrive. She was very similar. I waited almost 2 hours past my appointment time in a room. Like my poor mom, I love her to death. She was like, I brought snacks. She had like pretzels and juice, and like we were just hanging out. And the rheumatologist comes in. She's like, you're too young to be here. I knew right out the gate. I'm like, nope, you are not the one for me. And she's like,
Oh.
I think you have fibromyalgia. I'm like, yeah, I got diagnosed with that when I was like 16 playing sports in high school. What else she got? So was very frustrated. She did this huge blood work panel and never called me back. So I was super frustrated of like, I physically know something is wrong. I'm not having this issue, but I'm having this. There's days I can't see. There's days I have issues with this. I mean, they just started stacking. I advocated. I really sat down. I sat with my records. I listened to my body. I love how you said don't lie to your doctors, because I think it's also don't lie to yourself. Like, we're not
Yes.
crazy. This is going on in our brains. And I remember going to my new PCP, and I just sat there, and it was probably the very first time I've ever had a massive breakdown in a PCP's office. This poor lady, and she's like, how are you doing? And I just sobbed, and I'm like, I'm not crazy. And that was the only thing that I could get out. And she was like, and she's like sitting at her little computer, and I'm like, I have this, that. And like, I just gave her the list, and I'm like, can you just help me?
Mm.
And I think it was like this honest moment of like, I'm tired. Like, it's the end of the year and I'm tired. And it was interesting because she's like, we have a rheumatologist that the girls here see in our office, and she does like telehealth, and she's so good. I can write you a referral. Changed my life. I mean, I even gave you her information. She was deep diving into all of my records, and she's like, you have had Sjogren's autoimmune that has been positive off the charts for years on all of your stuff, and nobody has talked about it. So it's interesting, because if I would have lied to myself then and been like, I'm never going to get it, I'm never going to get an answer, I wouldn't have gotten all my other recent diagnoses that I have. Am I happy with those? But going into the new year, I'm like, I have a start off point. It's like when you're going to learn to swim. Do you dive into the deep end and sink to the bottom? No. They usually push you off and you have floaties. They want you to try, but you kind of have to figure things out as you go. Which brings me to a lot of things that people, I think, in 2025 or anytime, refocus not only on yourself, but focus on your relationships. I think this has to do with romantic relationships. Friendships are key. Look at your support system. Does your support system truly understand you, or do they just put up with you? I think there's a huge difference when it comes to that. Family members, just because they're blood doesn't give them a free pass. But it also doesn't give you a free pass either. So I think I'm going to be personally really reflecting on my relationships, my expectations of others. Do I have the same expectations on myself? Am I meeting this, everybody, my friends, my family, my romantic relationship? Am I meeting everybody in the middle? Or am I at the start line and I'm like, come on, like I'll catch up? I think I need to really focus on that. But I think it also goes to play with mental health and physical health. You just get to the point you're so damn tired.
Mm-hmm. You bring up to tie in, expectations for others too. And we're talking about medical. Hey, if any medical professionals are listening to this, we don't just bash like all y'all like all the time, but it's like think bad, because I have family in the medical system, but I'm well aware of like the fact that a lot of these doctors too are burnout. And so like I've had a few breakdowns in medical appointments myself this past year, like just that I straight up like the rheumatologist, I just looked at her and I was like, well, if you can't help me, who can? I straight up told her that, very much like you did with yours. And then like even my internal medicine doctor, I think that's why she chose to be more helpful like towards the end here, where she's like, whatever blood test, whatever you need, kind of like thing, let's get answers. Because sometimes when you put it and like humanize it too, and be like, I'm not crazy and like this and like, and you think of, and you empathize even for them being like, all right, I get your burnout, but like, help me, like I get that you also have your stuff, because they do make a choice. I will say, you medical professionals, you chose to be in those jobs. So like, do step up and, and it's fine, if you want to also express your stories, I mean, nobody's in the medical field in perfect health themselves all the time, but, and relationship expectations, God, I've had to learn that as well with my family, mom, if you're listening, like trying to be better about that and like vice versa. So yeah, I get that completely.
My mom, not to air like laundry, but I don't know if she listens to these, but my mom's gone through a lot. She was a single mom for a long time and she worked her butt off. And I think a lot of life things have caught up to like our parents' generation, because I think like even technology, I get frustrated. Like she'll get, an Apple Watch or she'll get something and she's like, I don't know how to do it. I mean, she could just download an app and it like would not work. But I realized like I'm getting frustrated. Why? Well, my mom didn't grow up with computers and cell phones and like all that stuff. Like that was my generation that started to come. So like when you think about our parents' generation, they've lived in 3 different lifetimes wrapped into one. I read something about that the other day. And it talked about how like they were raised like you don't talk about your problems, you don't share different things. And so like my mom started going to a counselor just to kind of talk about anxiety and like things like that.
Good.
Huge move for her. So proud of her, right? And it was like a moment that I just had to be in the moment. And I think that's the big thing of 2025 is be in the moment. No matter what's going on, be in that moment. And we were out running errands or something, and she had her counseling session, I knew, at 11:30. My old version of my mom was like anxiety ridden. She had to be home. She was panicked something was going to happen. She wouldn't make it home on time. And it was interesting because we went to Bath and Body Works. She's like, do you want to go to that store? And I was like, sure. Do you want to? There was no anxiety. There was no pressure. There was no weirdness, which in return, like affects me. I get frustrated. I do. I lose kind of my cool. I shouldn't. And I remember we were driving home and she was like, I don't feel like I'm doing very well in my therapy. And it just like came out and I was like, I see a difference. And I'm sitting at a stoplight and it was so cute because she was so proud of me as her child for seeing change in her. And I think that's a big thing is I was like, I'm really proud of you. Like, I see that you're not as anxious. And I was like, I see you change. And she's like, that meant the world to me. She even texted, she's like, did you really mean that? Like, that meant the world to me that you see a difference. Like, I'm really trying. So I think it's also one of being in the moment as being a child with your parents. Look at what they've gone through and like put yourself in a different set of shoes, not as their child and being frustrated, but see where they're coming from. Like if you were a mother, how would you feel if your child was going through this situation? Like I know for me, I can't imagine how she feels with like my autoimmune and like, my MS diagnosis, because parents want to take things away from their children. And when they can't do that, they see us in our frustration. I don't know about you, but with me, I'm like, I'm tired. I have a headache. I can't see. I'm this, I'm that. Leave me alone. But she sees that as I can't comfort you. I can't help you. So it's something this year too. Look at that in your relationships. In every relationship, be in the moment. Give people a little bit of grace. I saw this. It's really cool. It's a quote that I wanted to end as a reminder and thought. It's on Instagram, and I'll share it as well. I'll put it up here so you guys can read it in this section. It says, your 2025 vibe. As we step into 2025, let's set an intention to love ourselves a little more. Let's remember that true growth comes not just from big achievements, but from embracing the small moments, the ones that often go unnoticed. Take time to appreciate the simple joys, the quiet wins, and the moments that make life beautiful. Don't be afraid to take chances and trust in yourself, even when the path is not clear. Step into new opportunities with an open heart and the courage to be exactly who you are. Life is too short to be anyone else but yourself. Be kind, be compassionate, and be the kind of person you would want in your life. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, who inspire you to be better, and who support you without question. The people you choose to keep close will shape your journey, so choose wisely. 2025 is a year for being true to yourself, taking risks, loving deeply, and making the most of every single moment. Let's make it one to remember together.
That was beautiful.
It's like all we've talked about.
Yeah. Full circle.
So-
I absolutely believe that. And going into the year with that vibe for sure.
Well, this episode, like I said, we are recording it. Today is December 31st. Am I doing anything for New Year's Eve? Yep, I'm getting comfy PJs with my dogs, and I've got a Netflix movie, and I am so excited. I am not drinking because my autoimmune cannot handle it, and I've accepted it. It's fine. I'm hanging out tonight with my kiddos, and yeah, I'm doing what I want to do. For 2025, it's okay to be selfish, but it's also it's good to be in the moment. So I love and adore you. I adore your friendship. I'm excited to bring that into 2025. You are doing an amazing job in advocating for yourself. And just because you didn't get an answer from one person doesn't mean you're not going to get the answer. It's just that person was not the author in that chapter. They don't know what they're doing. Just go to the next one. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Wait, are we talking about my doctor or my situationship?
Talk about all of it. Your doctor, your situation, everything. I'm talking about all of it. Because
People
really,
are like, situationship. Oh God, if we got into that,
yeah. Because it is true. How we react to things usually transcends to other parts of our life. So we get frustrated and we feel down and out, and it's like, it's all right. Next.
Yeah.
Doctor, man, situationship, job. Because people always say when you're on your deathbed, did you wish that you worked more? Did you wish that you would have no, it's you wish you would have done the little things and been in the moment and just taken more time. Because that's the only thing that we can't buy, right? We can't buy time.
No.
So
And you got to live for you. I think if I was to die tomorrow, I'd want to know that I lived as much as I could for myself. So yeah.
well,
So people
here's
wish
to
wish us luck
2025.
next year. We wish you next.
Yep. So you guys are going to listen to this on the first Saturday of January. So that means you are just a couple days into 2025. Maybe you are not doing well already. That's okay. Maybe you're not doing a reward system. Start now. Maybe you feel lost. Hopefully this episode helped you. And in 2025, let me just tell you, are we going to stick to this title of Spicy Saturday? Because we going to get spicy in 2025. All bets are off.
Thanks for tuning in to this month's episode of Spicy Saturday Women Unfiltered. We hope you enjoyed our unfiltered take on today's topic.
Set those date reminders on the first Saturday of every month to catch our most candid conversations about the highs, lows, and everything in between.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the spice with your friends. Stay unfiltered, stay fabulous, and we'll catch you all bold bitches on our next episode.